Good night, folks. It's Chau again, and I'm back with Fitness Focus, Hybrid Caribbean's newest podcast where we interview people across the fitness industry. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have a national former triathlete, uh, race event manager, and timer, Jason Gooding. Jason, welcome, welcome.
Thanks very much. Have a good night. Have a good night, everyone.
How are you doing tonight, Jason?
I'm doing I'm doing well. Just got through another week. Uh, I thought my kids would have been in bed by now, but they're not. So if you hear some screams in the back, that's them still running around. But
That's okay, that's okay.
other than that, everything is good.
They get their energy from their father.
Yo, yeah, I guess.
So let's jump right into it. How did you first get into doing triathlons?
um, so the I guess I was never really a good athlete when I was younger. I, some may even say horrible.
I find
Um,
that hard to believe.
Yeah, no, I was uncoordinated, unbalanced, strong. Not strong, opposite of strong. Just scrawny. Just when I look back at pictures of myself, I'm like, gosh, I don't. It's hard to believe that that was me. but but I always had a passion for sport. I would say. Um, I wasn't one of those kids that get a bicycle when I was younger. I had to work hard to get my own bicycle because we just couldn't afford to have a bicycle. So my dad, we were never able to get me a bicycle. Um, but I always liked cycling. And then he said, yeah, well, you can't be a cyclist because we can't afford cycling. Those bikes cost a lot of money. Equipment costs a lot of money. So forget about cycling. And then I liked swimming. And then he said, well, you shouldn't really worry about swimming because swimmers have a short career span. From the time swimmers go through secondary school and go up to university, you never really hear about swimmers anymore. So he put me into running. And at the time, we were living in St. James, opposite Edwin Skinner's house. For those of you who don't know, Edwin Skinner is a former Olympian. He won bronze medal on the 4x4 team relay. So we lived opposite him. He was the head coach or one of the head coaches of Memphis Pioneers, and so he put me involved. He put me with in running. So every afternoon I'd go run, and that was my routine. And I remember at some point there was a charity race that we were doing where it was four people on a team. It was around the savannah, and each person had to run a lap around the savannah, a relay. So we had to tag off the next person. And at that event, Diane Henderson and Barry, oh gosh, I want to say Shepley, but it's not Barry Shepley. His name will come to me. He was the president of the Triathlon Federation at the time. They were giving out flyers for this junior triathlon, and I think I was probably about 15 or 16 at the time, or oh no, 14. I was 14 at the time, and the triathlon was for the next morning, and at that time I'd sell enough chicken eggs and duck eggs and little beaded chains and all that stuff to be able to have my own bike. So I bought my own bike, and so I mean I could ride, and I used to be one of those you kind of go to the beach and do a little swim. So I thought I could swim, and then while I was running, anyways, so I decided my dad decided we should go try it and see how that pans out. Of course, I was I was very nervous before. This is something new that you weren't. I wasn't really trained for it, and we went down to Chaguaramas that morning, and I saw that there was other kids my age doing it. So the nerves, the nerve dropped, the nerves dropped a little bit. But once I started the race, I just did my thing. I just ran and swim, ride, and run. First time ever finding out about the triathlon. First time ever doing it, and it was good. And I finished sixth overall in my age group. Um, they probably only had about 7 or 8 people in the race, but you know, I still finished sixth. Um, and that sparked my interest for triathlon. So
Right.
it, you know, it combined all these sports that I guess I wasn't allowed to, or was out of my class to be able to do. We couldn't afford it. It didn't make sense for my father. Um, and then he basically still encouraged me, and he said, "Well, if you really want to do this sport, you have to train for it." And so he was my first triathlon coach, and he would go and there's a magazine called Triathlete magazine. That inside the Triathlete magazine and Runners World magazine, they have every once in a while they have workouts that top triathletes or whatever are doing, and he would pull these workouts out of the magazine, and he'd coach me, and he'd say, okay, well, you probably can't do this distance, but we'd modify the workouts. And I just did that, and next year for the same national championships, because by now I was a triathlete and training for triathlon, I was still running every day with Memphis Pioneers. And when I was doing tennis, lawn tennis at the time, and to show how I guess horrible of an athlete I was, I went there and I think I probably scored like 1 point for the entire match. So after that racket got hung up. So yeah, I'm just focused on triathlon after that, and trained harder every year. My performance got better. I got bigger, stronger, faster, and my goal, or my what drove me to push hard was just I wanted to be good. I wanted to be on top. I wanted to be the best, and if that just took working harder than everybody else, that's what I did, and nothing ever stopped me from doing it. I mean, occasionally my dad will have to wake me up to go train, but most times I'd get up on my own. So, that's just how I got involved in the sport.
Well, then let's move on to your competition history. How you went from being a horrible athlete to being a national athlete. Tell us a little bit about your journey in terms of competitions and stuff.
Well, it started off with that junior triathlon, and then every year I just trained harder. And the next year I did junior triathlon championships. I came third. Mm-hmm. So I was 15 at the time, and 14, 15, right? And then the next year I did it, and I won the junior championships, and then I was 16 then, but I also took part in the senior championships, which you weren't technically allowed to do it, but because I was, training more than anybody else around my age, and almost outperforming them basically, they allowed me to race in that senior race, and they called me bandit because I wasn't allowed to register for the event, but you could do it. Right. And I ended up coming third overall in that race. And so that same year I won the juniors, and I came third. Oh, wait, no, I came sixth in that race. So won juniors, and I came sixth in the seniors. Then the next year I won juniors again, because you're a junior until you're 19 years old. Right. So at 17, my dad had all the dates like down packed, but I never really worried about the dates so much. But at one point I won the juniors, and then I won the seniors. So then and I think at 17 years old is when I won the senior championships. Right. So I was still the junior champion and the senior champion at the time. So I was junior champion for I think 3 years, and then senior champion for 9 years. And with that, you just kind of outgrow the pond. And the pond was Trinidad, so I had to go away and compete. So most of my dad's career, he basically spent asking sponsors to be able to get money here and there so I could afford to travel throughout the Caribbean, throughout the world, to do the sport that I love and I love, and it's every step of the way has opened new doors and taken me on a different journey that if I had to look back 23 years ago, I would never think that I'd be where I am today, and it's all because of doing sports. So when people in Trinidad think sport is just games and as an extracurricular activity, they don't take it seriously. sports can really open doors for you, and it gives you a different appreciation for life, for health, for friendships that you meet all around the world, for competitiveness. It teaches you good sportsmanship, providing you turn out to be a good sportsman. We still have some people that are doing it for years and still horrible sportsmen, but for me, that's what it has taught me. And if I had to do it again, I would do it the exact same way.
Um, all I can say is not bad for a bad athlete. 9 years in a row.
Yeah,
Um,
hard work,
so
hard work.
hard work.
Yep.
So you went away as a national athlete, as a triathlete extraordinaire, I would say. I'll use the word extraordinaire for the entire interview. What was it like going abroad and representing TNT, to whatever capacity?
It was lonely. Of course, the back then triathlon was not a household name as it is now. People couldn't even pronounce the word triathlon. Some people really didn't care about it. They saw that it was a sport for white people because you had to be of a certain class to be able to do it. So it wasn't as well funded as football and cricket and most of the mainstream sports. So a lot of the things, I mean, I went through rare years trying to get any kind of support from the government, and I remember I got a flag from the government one time to go and do world championships. So of course I had to, thankfully for my sponsors at the time, they were like Angostura, BWIA, Zante, Private Members Club. Those were the sponsors that really supported me and helped me get out of Trinidad to be able to compete.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully for them, I was able to go and travel and compete and be able to improve all the time. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard and lonely. I remember going to World Championships with my dad. He was my support, my massage therapist, my manager, my bike mechanic. Although,
Right.
his massage was like, all right, you're done. So I basically did my own massages. I fixed my own bikes. But he was very instrumental in organizing and making sure that I was there and ready for the race and in the right race and that kind of thing. But yeah, for World Championships, we had to go down by Kenny's Sports and buy some uniforms that kind of look like red, white, and black. And we got somebody to embroider a little Trinidad and Tobago logo on it. And that's what our uniforms were. So it's very different to how it was or how it is now. And now people, I mean, you go out to triathlons and Mark, you would know, everybody in their nice uniforms, everybody, looking fresh. They have a coach, they have this, they have some sort of organization. Back then
Full
it was,
team.
yeah, back then
And
it was me. I had a girlfriend in Canada, and I remember her dad joking that his daughter was dating the whole Trinidad and Tobago triathlon team. Because it was just a one-man team.
doesn't sound too far from the truth, though.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short video break here before you move on. Take a look at what you're currently involved in.
Right.
Ten seconds to race time. You're gonna hear ready and then you hold, okay? Ready?
Right, so that is you starting. And I chose this video for two reasons. Yeah? First of all, you told us you started off doing a one-lap relay. That's you actually starting a one-lap race that you manage and organize. And to show, of course, the fact that you are now contributing to the sports and sports in general in a different way. Now you've started to organize and manage and time and all of that. And manage races. How did you transition from being a national triathlete to being a race manager and organizer?
It started off back in the days when I was still doing triathlons. We went through a year or two where the triathlon federation at the time, due to lack of funding, due to lack of a lot of things, were postponing and canceling events.
Right.
And my dad and I said, listen, we're gonna put on an event. We're not gonna cancel it, no matter if we broke, if we have to pay for everything out of our own pockets. We're not canceling this event. We're gonna have it. We're gonna manage it well, and we called it the Rainbow Warriors Triathlon Festival. So there was a triathlon, there was a duathlon, there was an aquathlon, there was a kayak-thon where you kayak and then you run. And I can't remember if it had riding in it, but I guess we tried to involve, everything. There was a running race. So we had either 7 or 9 events on that day. And we just started doing that. And then, people just enjoyed it and they wanted more. And we just did it. So I was actually organizing these things while I was still competing.
Right.
So the good thing about race organization is that you could do 90% of it on a computer behind the scenes, and then and then the other 10% is coming out on the day and executing it. So so just for an example, for like a Rainbow Cup that we'd have in June in Tobago, I would start planning that from the November before, and you build up the website, you get out your advertising, you get out your sponsorship proposals, you invite who you need to invite, and everything happens behind the scenes. And then the last week, as Mark, you would know, is pressure and is real pace, because that's when everybody coming into Tobago. We there as a team organizing it and trying to set up the race site and the venue, and all boiling down to one day that everything happens, and then the next day it's just like the calm after the storm. So it was easy to manage, but we just felt the need that we had to put on good events. I have always been of that nature that if I'm going to do things, I do it well. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time doing it. And anybody that works with me knows that if we put it on a line and that line not straight, it's going to come up and it's going to go back down straight, and it's going to go down again straight if it's not straight,
Yeah.
Or I would say, put something up and then like, no, I don't like it. It's not looking good. We'll take that down. We'll do it over. All to strive for perfection. And, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because everything takes longer. Everything takes a lot more time than it should if you just kind of fish fashion and put it up together. But the quality at the end of the day, people definitely see the chalk and cheese effect. And the difference in quality when you come to a Rainbow Warriors Triathlon Club event.
Yeah. So the thing is, funny enough, you actually mentioned exactly what I wanted to talk about, the Rainbow Cup. You started off with the Rainbow Warriors Triathlon Festival, which is a very funny name, by the way.
Well, my dad, he when we were trying to name a club, and of course I was too young and not that influential over my dad as yet, and he mentioned that, because I asked him, I was like, why would you name the club Rainbow Warriors? I mean, it's everybody knows the connotation for it, what it represents, or that kind of thing. He's like, I don't care. Desmond Tutu came here how many ever years ago, and he said Trinidad and Tobago is so diverse and so cosmopolitan that he calls it a rainbow country, and everything had to be rainbow, and that's that. And I was like, oh, well, whatever.
Yeah. No, well, that's not the thing, but the festival, it brings to mind ideas of streamers and music and all that stuff, But you've gone from that, a humble beginning where you did everything, I guess, between you and your dad, to this magnificent international racing event where we get people from Martinique and France and things coming here just to take part in the Rainbow Cup in Tobago. How did the Rainbow Cup itself start?
Well, again, my dad always wanted to have an event in Tobago, and back then we were only putting on events in Trinidad. We never even conceptualized having an event in Tobago because it would take a lot of work. It would take a lot of, we basically had to carry everything over to Tobago, which is what we do every year. Everything we need, we pack it up in, 2 or 3 big trucks and vans, and get everything to Tobago, all the infrastructure that we need. So it was always an idea. And for a few years, my dad was like, "Hey, we're gonna have an international race, da 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 da," and we just saw it as Tobago is an ideal country for sport tourism. The people that we are trying to target and attract are going to come to Tobago not only for the event, but they're going to come because they want sun and sand and sea, which is what most tourists like. I used to travel because if it was a nice destination, I would love to go and see the destination. I just find a race that is at that destination, and then I'll get to see that place. So Tobago was just always ideal, and I don't know why we came with the cup. I guess because the World Triathlon would have World Cup events and this kind of Continental Cup, World Cup. So we just decided we're gonna call this with the Rainbow, so we call it the Rainbow Cup. Probably has no affiliation to triathlon, but a name is just a name. Once you build a brand, people now identify that name with something, and now the Rainbow Cup. Most people in this triathlon and this sort of sporting arena is going to know the Rainbow Cup for the triathlon that we put on in Tobago, and hopefully know it for being an outstanding event that of world class standards.
Well, I'll say this as somebody who has been working with you for 5 years, something.
Long.
Long. I have to say that the Rainbow Cup is the one event I truly look forward to. I mean, I've worked with you on events that you've managed and other races and stuff, but the Rainbow Cup, I truly would look forward to it because, first of all, Tobago trip. Second of all, I mean, the experience of putting together an entire event from the ground up, and it's a major event, and to know that, again, we have people coming from as far as Canada and France just to be right here in our little Twin Island state to take part in this event. It's actually, to me, just as a super patriot, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal for me to know that this is where we are, this is what we have. And, it's something that I think that the world over needs to see a little bit more of. And I think that we also need corporate citizens to, be there a little bit more. But I digress. We were supposed to have one in 2020, and then the world went to COVID. So let's take a little look at one of the promos. I think this promo was actually for 2020 before we had to cancel the events.
Right.
Sorry, that was for 2021.
Yeah.
But
it's all a blur. It's all a blur. After that, it's all a blur. Nobody really knows what year we're in right now, actually.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping that the world, not just Trinidad, but the world would have COVID, managed on some level by then, and we can start back doing, certain things that we have grown to love.
I'll let you in a little secret. The world has moved on. It's only Trinidad still in the past. Because I was just at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, big event. There, and then I just came back from Colombia in November for Pan Am Junior Championships.
Right.
Other people are having crazy events all over the world, but Trinidad still closed up, and it baffles me as to what our thinking. I wouldn't say our thinking, what their thinking is, and the power. They've opened up casinos, but yet you're still not allowed to go out and do sporting events. It's crazy. I'm here in Grenada now, and I'm preparing to have a race next week, and then one the week after, and then 3 weeks after. I'm having 3 races between now and February, and Trinidad just got the beaches open up until 12 o'clock. Like, seriously, it just doesn't make any sense at all. And yeah, I don't want to get into a political rant, but it seems like the Ministry of Health doesn't know what health is and how sport benefits health.
I
Really
have
don't.
my own opinion, but as the host of this program, I will hold my tongue.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that they've done some good things, and I think that they've had some missteps. Exactly where that line is, I am not going to say. I know everybody has their opinion, but you know, it is at this stage, it is what it is, and we just have to find a way to move forward.
We
That's what
do.
I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
Um,
do.
so next step, you went from managing races to timing races. I'm sure that you were timing races as part of your management before, but you created an entire company, Odyssey Timing Company, which is now, correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, we'll talk about that later. But at what point did you realize that you needed to create an entire timing company? Because to have at least one or two very reliable timing companies for these races.
Well, it came out. It spawned from Rainbow Cup. The first year we had Rainbow Cup, we did manual timing,
Mhm.
and results were chaotic. We took so long trying to get results for the awards. There were a lot of inaccuracies, a lot of it was just horrible. I mean, we don't even know where results are for the first Rainbow Cup we ever had, because it was just so frustrating. Up until a month later, I couldn't get proper results for that event.
Right.
So after that, my dad and I decided, listen, we have to. And I was racing in Canada, and I was doing a lot of things out of this country, and I saw what technology was out there. And I
Right.
told my dad, I said, listen, we have to invest in this thing. Well, you have to invest, guy. I have no money. So so between he and my granddad, they spent $250,000 on a timing system. So, and we took it for Rainbow Cup. We bought it for Rainbow Cup, and then I was just thinking, wait, now we spent all of this money on this equipment for one race, and all the other running races and all the other triathlons and all the other events that they have crap timing. And I was like, no, I need to offer this to other people. So I decided, all right, I'm gonna start a timing company. I'm gonna come to your race and time it. God, I was like pulling teeth, trying to get people, trying to convince them that they need to do electronic timing.
Yeah.
So it took me like 2-3 years to get quite a number of people on board with having timing at their races. Um, I did a lot of races for free. I did a lot of races for next to nothing, just pretty much offsetting my costs, just because I felt that every race should have good timing. And I mean, I bit the bullet because I said, listen, for years I've gone through the sport of triathlon and did so many races and 9-time national champion and junior champion and all that stuff. Go find the results. You can't find those results. It's on some piece of paper somewhere that probably thrown out in the garbage. That's
Right.
history gone there. Whereas every race that I've done in Canada and wherever that had electronic timing, my results are there.
Right.
So I just thought, all right, well, we're gonna invest in this system. I'm gonna offer it. I'm gonna start selling it to people. So I went door to door, like a Jehovah's Witness, but for race timing. and try to convert people to say, listen, you need to have this. And a lot of people were like, no, we don't need that. We just give the top 5 or top 10 people results. And I was like, but you have 200-300 people in a race. Surely they all want to know where they've placed. They all want to know their time. Even the last person. Man, the last person don't need to know their time. I said, but that just don't make any sense, So the top 5 men gonna have the race results for the rest of time, and then so all the rest are gonna take hours to get their results. So it slowly started. We slowly started getting more and more clients, and we did UE spec, but not UE spec half marathon. UE, the bursary had a small race that we did their race, and then we did some other smaller races here and there, and whatever. And slowly but surely, it became the standard of racing. It became I was able to show race organizers how having electronic timing can benefit them and their race, and you basically passing on the cost to the athletes. So you include that cost in the race registration. It pays for your race timing. You get a professionally timed event. You can have your race results, within minutes after the race has completed, and it's win-win. So after a while, once you started, getting it, and you started building a reputation. But it's like everything in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, you have to convince people that this is better.
Yeah.
And again, I'm in Grenada, and that's what I have to do. I have to convince them that I can put on events better than they know about.
As a tech guy, I don't know. Electronic timing just seems logical, but not everybody's a tech guy, know.
Well, you could be a runner, and that it's no, it's I remember Granny Lucia coming up to me to want to find out her time, and I was like, yes, I've reached. When Granny Lucia comes and Granny was how old she was, and she come there to see where she placed and where she placed in the results. I said, that's when you reach.
Yep.
Because you can't tell me it's only a young people thing now, because everybody is now interested in their race timing, and the results, So, and again, I work hard at it. I do a good job. I like to think that I'm the best race timing company out there.
I would agree, but I may be biased.
You bias. I like to hear from the athletes themselves.
Right.
But I mean, I wherever I can improve, I will improve. I'm not sitting down here just with mediocrity. I can't swim in mediocrity. I always have to try to be better, and I always have to try to aspire to be the best. And I guess that's why I was, where I was when I was. That's why I was national champion, and that's why, I was junior champion, and why I tried, because I can't settle for where I am. I always have to be better and better and better, and not aggressively, but just passionately, personally, I have to be the best. It's just me.
Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong. I think that more people need to adopt that mentality. I need to be the best, because a lot of people, as you say, swim in mediocrity. Ahí fue la.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. A lot of people swim in mediocrity, and I personally don't understand it. Hybrid thinks you're the best chaser. No, I will say this, sir. I used to race years ago. I think one of my last races was just about when I started to work with your company. From then it was managing. And then a couple of years ago, I got the opportunity, thanks to you, to participate in another race that was timed by another company. We're not going to call names, but honestly, having worked with you and having seen how your company operates, and then being a runner in a race timed by another company, I was actually able to see the difference, and this isn't just being biased, it's just literally observing this, I was able to see the difference, It's not idle talk, you know what I'm saying? We're going to take a short pause now. When we come back, I want to go back to the beginning, all right, a little bit, but we're going to take a short pause now and take a little advertisement in.
Have I ever been a victim of body shaming? I would say recently as I've gotten into fitness, especially in the Caribbean.
Have I been a victim of body shaming? Yes, I have.
Have I ever been a victim of body shaming? Definitely yes.
I have been a victim of body shaming.
I have been a victim of body shaming, especially when I was pregnant. Do pregnant women face body shaming or other types of ignorance?
Yes, I have been a victim of body shaming.
I have been a victim of body shaming.
Yeah, I've been a victim of body shaming quite often.
Interesting thing about body shaming is it doesn't take any one form.
I have been a victim of body shaming throughout my life, really.
Have I ever been a victim of body shaming? Yes.
So a few years ago, and this is before I actually became part of the hybrid team, right? The organizers, the members of Team Hybrid had an idea that, because I mean, it was some fitness professionals, creative persons, that kind of stuff, that we need to stand up and say something about an issue that a lot of people kind of sweep under the rug. Because, you know, if you tell somebody something and they feel hurt, oh gosh, you're soft, why are you so sensitive? And that's not okay, because we're seeing more and more how mental health can deteriorate due to these kinds of things. So the topic they chose was body shaming. So they decided they're going to do this. The magazine is out, by the way. Hybrid Body, where we take pictures of competitive and non-competitive athletes. And I say non-competitive athletes because, to me, if you are hitting the gym hard, you're an athlete. You just may not be in competition, right? Because you're working hard, you're doing what it takes to be your best. So they decided they will take pictures of competitive and non-competitive athletes. I was approached to be one of the models too, so that we can really stand up and say something about body shaming. You know, and thus Hybrid Body was conceptualized, it was born. It took some time. We finally got the magazine out. For those who are interested, by the way, you can purchase them from any member of the Hybrid team, from any of the models in it. You know, we have national boxer Tiana Guy. We have national Olympic weightlifter Corinne Singh. You know, we have fitness chef who now has her own program on one of our local TV stations, Charlene Prokop. You know, we have a lot of influential people who took part in this, and you can get it from any one of them. You can get it from any one of us at Team Hybrid. I think it's worth it. It's you know, you're supporting a worthy cause. And let me ask Jason one thing. What do you think about this magazine? What do you think about our push to do this? You know,
no, it's a really good idea. I mean, I wouldn't say that I started off with the best body, and I know people always say I was too scrawny and too. I mean, I look back at me and I was just like, ooh, you know, I was like that. But I think with confidence in doing sport and being competitive and being more secure about yourself, you start to not listen to negative comments. It doesn't affect you as much. I mean, sometimes it still does, but you know, I just kind of became a little more confident, a little more, you know, proud of who I am, and latter parts of my life, I just couldn't care less who thought I was too scrawny or whatever. I just watched the tail in a race, and then there goes my scrawny arms right in front of you. You know, so
exactly.
You know, but I know a lot of people still are faced with those types of issues, and yeah, it's they don't have that release. They don't have that way of getting it out and not taking it on. So it does affect them, and yeah, I guess we have to be a little more aware and conscious of how we treat and talk to people, you know, or talk about people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as I said, let's go back to the beginning. Your dad was your coach,
Yeah.
and you became the 9-time national champion. You became an internationally known triathlete. To the point where even today you're still going around the world. I know you go to Australia annually. You were just in Colombia. You were in Tokyo, working at the Tokyo Olympics. Because Jason Gooding, amongst the triathlon world, not amongst the triathlon Trinidad and Tobago, but amongst the triathlon world, is a household name, right? But I think at some point you realized that you needed to be able to pass this gift on, and you started to train people. Is that where the Rainbow Warriors Triathlon Club started, or was training people for triathlons somewhere in the middle?
I don't know. I guess it started when I started putting on events. So my dad had to train me because there were no triathlon coaches. I used to
Right.
run with Edwin Skinner and Memphis Pioneers for my running coaching. I used to ride with Michael Fab and Heatwave, and that's who I would cycle with. I started cycling on the highway at 4 o'clock with a guy called Roger Simon and Ian Deve.
Right.
Ian Deve is deceased a few years now, but those were the two guys that took me from just riding a bomber, a mountain bike, and introduced me to track cycling and cycling races and that kind of thing, and they've helped my cycling progress to the point where I was now a competitive national triathlete. And then my swimming, I started off swimming at Flying Fish, and then started swimming with Edward Tuberoso. And he basically, I stayed with him until I retired from the sport. Competitive triathlon. I would say retired from the sport because I'm still involved in it. And in doing my events, I realized that people needed to know how to train for this triathlon. I wanted to get more people taking part in my events, but there are a lot of people that didn't know where to start. They didn't know where how to go and swim, how to go and ride, how to do a transition, nothing. So with the Rainbow Warriors, we started coaching youngsters. So we had a junior team that we'd coach on the weekends, and I can't remember the schedule, but some of our top athletes, Jalmark Granderson, Troy Llanos, a lot of our top junior athletes now have gone through that program. And when they were kids,
Right.
like 7, 8, you look back at some pictures and you'd see them there. So we just started off with juniors, and then we kind of introduced it to seniors and doing seniors, and I would just kind of coach, and it would be a reason for me to get out and keep fit and keep exercising, even though I'm competing. So I would still meet the team at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we go ride from Savannah to the airport and come back before we get ready to go to work, and guys got ready to go to school. John Mark would take a shower right by the Savannah. His mom would be there with a 5 gallon bottle or 5 liter bottle, watching him down, and he bathing right on the side of the Savannah. So I mean, there's a lot of dedication, and I would say I got into coaching that way, just for the want to see people do better at my events and any other events, and they basically, I just took my workouts and passed it on to them. So of course they all started to do really well, because if I was the best and I was doing those workouts, then they would be close to doing it. So
yeah, well, these are names I hear at almost all your races, coming in the top 5. So
they all have different coaches, and they've all gone on and done their own thing.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that they started off in the sport, and they started off there, and they've still stayed with it. And these guys are good at school, they're good at sport, they're just good guys, and I'm glad that I was able to just touch them and influence them in some way. So it's my way of giving back. I like to give back.
So I have some national triathlete becoming a triathlon coach, event manager, timer, race timer, all of that stuff, while still having a developing a family and all of that stuff, which would have come later, I think. But that is some serious team leadership skills. Is this something you just picked up along the way, or is it that you did like team leadership courses or whatever?
Never did a course, not a course for those things.
Right.
Never lead. I think if you just strive to be the best, people always follow you. If
Right.
I'm doing the best, you never know in a race who's behind you. You always know who's in front of you. So if I
Right.
try to keep myself in front, everybody wants to be up in front, so they look and emulate and see what you do. And it's I just strive to be the best, and I guess when you strive for that, you kind of fall into that leadership role because you're not following. And I mean, now with my kids, I just try to tell them that it's like we are good things. We do the best that we can. We're honest. We're hardworking. We're dedicated. And my wife is like, "Yo, are you brainwashing them?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm brainwashing them with good stuff. I think, And they're my kids. They're my little kids.
Little you.
I can brainwash them if I want, So, like up to this morning, I was like, "Listen, we're good things. We're always on time. We have to get to school. We have to leave by this time, and and it's like, and then I'm like, repeat, what are we? We're good eggs." So, I guess leadership isn't for everyone. If you look up where I started, you'd never think that I would become a leader. I would have never thought that I'd become a leader or see myself as a leader. But I just kind of fell into the role, and it's all about doing the best, hard work hard, respecting others' efforts. For a team, respecting others' efforts when it becomes a team, because yes, you're a leader, but Mark, you would know, I don't just stand up and boss people around. I am there. If you I work in harder than you, because if you work in 8 hours, I work in 12, and that's just the kind of leader I am. I like to lead by example, and
I remember one year you got injured, and I was buffing you. I was telling you, Jason, put down the hammer, stop it.
I remember that. I felt so useless at that race. That's when I ruptured my Achilles tendon, and I had a cast, and I was with crutches trying to lift up my time in boxes and that kind of thing. But, it's just a leg. It's all cast up. I could walk on it.
But yeah, that's why. I mean, I used to call your boss as a joke, and you told me flat, I don't like that name, that phrase. So I started calling you fearless leader, because you're right. Boss bosses people around. A leader leads by example, and I have to say, that's exactly what you do.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to take one last video interlude, and then we're going to come for the exciting conclusion of our interview. All right, let's get that video on. So that was part of a promo for the River Raid. By the way, you notice I'm wearing one of your
long time. I noticed that from the time we came on. I was like, oh, nice shirt.
Nice shirt. So yes, that's one of your many events. It's more of a duathlon than a triathlon. Nobody do answer.
Which one? The River Raid?
Yeah.
No, that's primarily a mountain bike event that we most of our. So my strategy years ago was that the multi-sport events were so small and not a lot of participation. So for me to kind of satisfy my sponsors' needs and for me to make some money at the event, I had to have a running race with it. So everything I would have the mountain bike race. So you'd probably get anywhere from 60 to 100 people doing the mountain bike race. But if you had a running race alongside on the same course and the same everything, I could get an additional 200-300 people with it.
Right.
So then I was also bringing an audience to be able to see my multi-sport event. So it was, it was a catch-22. The sponsors see a lot of people, they get excited about it. I get more people to see my sport, mountain biking, triathlons, duathlons, all these smaller events that you get smaller participation. And then everybody just has a good time. And now the River Raid, we've included a doggy race, so you come and run with your dog. And I'm talking to Subway already to see how we can have this event in Trinidad somewhere in March. So we'll see. So everybody start poking the government to have events. Let's see if we can get something happening.
Well, I'll be there.
Of course.
Yeah. So here's the thing that we barely touched on before, because we're talking about you being a former national triathlete and all these events in Trinidad and stuff, and Tobago. But now you've migrated to Grenada. What's that about?
For survival, really. I felt like we were stuck in an abyss in Trinidad. My passion, my desire, my life is around sport. And here we have a government that is telling me what I do is non-essential. So I should stay home and I should do what? This is all I know. I've been doing sports since I was 14 years old. I came out of school in sports and I've based my whole life around it, health and wellness and sports. But I am not considered essential. So I have, haven't had a job for a year plus. And if I was in Trinidad, I still wouldn't have a job for a year plus because I don't feel to go and do anything else. This is what I do. This is what I'm good at.
It's what you love.
This is what I love. So I had to jump ship a little bit and go find, an avenue where I could continue my trade and continue my passion. So, as I tell everybody, it's something I had to do, but I'm still Trini. I'm still Trini to the bone, still representing red, white, and black. But now I have this opportunity to develop sport over here because sport in Grenada is far behind what we've come to understand as a standard race. So in a race in Trinidad, we have electronic timing, we have online registrations, we have custom bib numbers, we have custom medals, we have big sponsors, big hurrah. In Grenada, I've been searching for events, and it's like somebody would have a little flyer up.
Right.
There's no website. There's no more information. When do you register? Or just show up on the race in the morning of the event. Okay, is there any timing? No, we're not going to give a timing. I'm just like, woo. So there's by jumping, it potentially has given me the opportunity to expand. So as well as I'm able to survive, expanding my reach. So, when business starts to pick up over here and business starts back to pick up in Trinidad, I should be better off. I should be more busy, but I'll feel good that I can now offer sport tourism to Grenadians, which is something that Trinidad doesn't seem to grasp just yet. Because we're so busy with oil and gas and whatever else that sport is still, down the list of priorities. Sport tourism and sport tourism is even further down. And it just kind of makes you wonder, like, what we're really doing in Trinidad. What is the future for Trinidad and Trinidadians? So
yeah,
I'm hoping things turn around. I'm hoping that things get better. But for now, this has been my move. You would know that the two things I love is sports and being in the bush. And
True that,
and up here, my weekday job is I'm managing a cocoa and nutmeg estate up in Grenville. So I like a pig in mud because I get
And
to
of
put on
course, down
sports.
here, Big O's Ranch.
Big O's Ranch, yeah. Up to tonight, somebody called me to go camp out there. So that is still coming. People have been camping. So I love that, and I love that lifestyle. And my kids being in Grenada, the beaches are open. It's a nice, safe environment to be in. We happy. We happy. So I'm really looking forward to Trinidad getting back on its feet when it comes to sport and that kind of thing. But for now, I have to personally see about my family. I have to see about surviving, and this has been my choice in order to do that, because nobody is over there giving me handouts. Nobody gonna pay my mortgage. Nobody paying anything while I sit down here being irrelevant, or not essential. So trying to make myself essential again.
Well, we need more people like you here who will push not the sport but sports in general, because you're right. Our government's approach and our corporate citizens' approach to sport has been lackluster, to use a good word. I also train a cricket team. We had the manager here on our program a few weeks ago, and getting sponsorship for the cricket team is ridiculous, and they're not the only unsponsored cricket team. Unless you're doing 100 and 200 meter sprint, or unless you're playing football, nobody seems to give a boo about you. So we need more people like you. Now we have one question from the Gooding who is watching. We have to move on. So one question real quick: how do you foresee sporting events in the future, near future and distant future, should COVID-19 become manageable worldwide? Not just Trinidad, not just US, not just Grenada, but worldwide. Everybody is on the same page. How do you see sporting events here and internationally? And be brief, because we have to move on to our last section.
Sporting events have been going on. They've been happening. People are going to events. Like I said, it's only Trinidad that seem to be in the dark ages when it comes to sports. Everybody, you go to races, you wear your mask, you check in, you sign in, you whatever, you social distance. Everybody is sanitized, and you start up on the start line, and you do your race. And when you finish, it's just like normal. So I see in the future that things are going to get back to normal. Human nature to want to socialize. It's human nature to want to be around each other and be competitive and not secluded and away from everybody. And the virus, I feel, I'm not any scientist, but I feel our bodies are just going to get accustomed to it. Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to succumb from it, but the ones that don't, hopefully, would make us stronger. We have this saying that we've been saying for years: "What will kill you will make you stronger." Right? So, hopefully, it does make us stronger, and then we can get back to regular life and to regular sport and to doing what we do best as humans.
Well, you're right about that. I mean, the flu and the common cold used to kill people. Now, you get it and you sleep it off, Take the vitamin C and sleep it off. So we will get there. All right. So that pretty much wraps out our interview, except for one last thing. We have a little rapid fire segment here called The Last Rep, where I ask you 10 quick questions. You just answer on the top of your head. And, people get to know Jason Gooding a little bit better. All right. You ready?
Let's see if I practice for this thing. Let's see. Hopefully I pass.
What's your favorite junk food?
Junk food?
Yeah.
Nutella at the moment. My wife shared my pizza, but it's not pizza, it's Nutella.
Squats or deadlifts? If you have to do it.
I have horrible knees, so I try to stay away from any of those. But I prefer bad knees and a bad back, so I squats.
Well, I could ask you legs or chest, but you're a runner. And
You see how scrawny my chest is, so you know it's probably legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's now we have 3 major workouts that you do as a triathlete. If you're feeling down, what is your go-to workouts?
A ride or run.
Cool. If you could train with or be trained by one person anywhere in the world, who would that fantasy workout partner or trainer be?
Jessica Biel. My wife watching me cut eye. No, wait, I changed my answer. My wife.
Good night, Hannah. Favorite workout music?
I love to listen to nature. I don't fancy music when I exercise. So if I go, I like to hear what's happening around me. I like to ride, and I always tell people when they come to train with me, like, take out the music, listen to your breath, listen to your heart, listen to your body, listen to your step. So the sound of humans, I don't know, whatever music that is. Yeah.
Well, the next one I have the answer to already. Cardio weights. Obviously, you're a cardio guy. So next one, again, 3 sports all wrapped up in one. Let's not take triathlon as a single sport. So what would be your favorite sports?
Cycling. I like cycling, and then closely followed by running. You notice I haven't mentioned swimming as yet. But
I realized. I noticed.
I just did swimming because I had to, but yeah, I would cycling would be first and running. Yeah.
So going back to your training days, are you a protein supplement guy or a diet guy?
I primarily go for diet first, but because of the needs of a triathlete, I had to supplement. But I was never like too regimented and never too disciplined when it came to taking supplements. So I would always try to get good meals first.
Right. And last but not least, perhaps the most important question of the evening. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I guess.
TV or cinema?
Which country are we talking about? Grenada or Trinidad?
let's say Trinidad for now.
Trinidad. If it's a good movie, cinema. I definitely enjoy cinema popcorn, and I definitely enjoy going with my wife to cinema. So I would say cinema, but the rest of the time, I guess TV.
Right. You see, everybody says they're ready for it, and then when I ask, they're like,
Well, I mean, you ready for it? So I'm like, I guess, I know. We still don't know what the question is.
It's all right, Jason. I'm just teasing you. But I want to say thank you very, very much for being part of this.
Having me.
Your insight, your history, very interesting. I didn't know all of it, even though I knew some. So it was a journey for me as well. Thanks again for being here, and don't forget to let me know when you're having Rainbow Cup Grenada.
I'll tell you, because my team definitely going to be up there.
Right.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted. But thanks very much, and all the best, and I hope things get back to normal quickly, and I wish you all the best in what you're doing. I keep following you, so keep it up. And I'm glad I can influence you at some point positively.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's been a great time working with you, and I look forward to the next time we can work together, man, Jason. For real.
Hopefully March for Subway River Raid.
Hopefully March for Subway River Raid. Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again to all the viewers who tuned in, who asked questions, who were paying attention. I really enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your continued support as we've gone into the new year. This is our 2nd episode for the year and our 9th episode in this season. And don't worry, we have a few more episodes. Look out for us next week. Join us again, and don't forget to get your copy of the Hybrid Body magazine. See you next week, guys.